Ego means I in Latin. We have a lot of baggage around the word ego. Literally, it means I. And Greg, you were saying self with a small s.
Self-image.
Self-image is another one. Good. Any of those will work. They don't mean exactly the same thing. For the purposes of this discussion, I don't care. But they're all talking about roughly the same stuff. The part of you of which you are aware. What's left out? The unconscious, the part of you of which you are not aware. Unconscious is a Jungian term. The Freudian term is, anyone? Subconscious. Subconscious. So the unconscious or subconscious is all the things that are you, all the things that are true about you or part of you, of which you are unaware. This would include suppressed feelings, forgotten memories, thoughts that do not rise to the level of awareness. Have you ever had this happen where something happened to you, and if someone asked you, you would swear it didn't? And then one day, the recollection of it returned. Oh yeah, actually, that is true. How many of you ever had something like that happen? Good. Have you ever had someone give you feedback about yourself that you just flatly denied was true? Or done that to someone else? You've given them feedback and they say, oh, no, no, I don't do that. And you say, what? You just did it 2 minutes ago. No, no, that's not true. I never do that. I'm not that kind of person. Subtext, that is unconscious in me. You see it in me. I don't see it in me. And, if they're arguing about it, I don't want to see it in me. Right? Plenty of room down here. Notice it opens out at the bottom. Lots of room. This is very important because if you're sitting here thinking, I don't know my purpose or I'm not sure about my purpose, then your purpose is where? In the unconscious, by definition, below the line. If it's true about me and I don't know it, it's below the line. It's unconscious. Things move back and forth across the line. We forget things and they move down. We remember things and they move up. We realize things and they move up. But there's some natural resistance here that tends to keep them separated. Any questions about this? It's very, very important stuff. And now I'm speaking in a very particular frame here where I'm saying you already have a purpose. I've just been sort of treating that as an assumption. And I will continue to do so. You don't have to believe me. But I'm coming from the point of view that if you don't know your purpose, it's because it's already there and it's unconscious, which is a very particular point of view about purpose. Some people have a different point of view about purpose. Their point of view is, my purpose is a matter of choice also. I get to decide what my purpose is. And other people will say, no, 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 no. I don't get to decide what my purpose is. It's already determined. I have to find it. Those are two fundamentally different perspectives. Who here is on the, well, I think it's already there and I have to find it camp? Who here is in the, no, no, I get to choose camp? It's up to me. Okay, good. There's a sway here. This would be different than if we did a general sweep of the population. I would think the numbers would be less polarized. Part of that has to do is that it's a purpose workshop. Right? So, if you believe that your purpose is not already predetermined, an interesting question is, if you get to choose any purpose, would all purposes serve you equally? That is, would any purpose do and do equally well? What's your answer?
No.
No. Most people will answer that. If someone believes I get to choose my purpose and all purposes will do equally well, they do not need my help. Seriously. And I've had people say that on the phone to me and I say, great, you just saved yourself a bunch of money, go choose a purpose. You do not need me. If they don't serve equally well, then a different question would be, well, which one would serve best? Or which ones would serve best? So I can select from among that group. And now the conversation starts to sound kind of like the other conversation. Instead of choosing the purpose that's already been predetermined for me, I'm trying to choose amongst the available purposes which one is optimal. And that's already determined in some sense. Very murky down here. Now, other terms for unconscious or subconscious, shadow would be another one. And this collectively is sometimes called the self with a capital S, the whole self. Right? And so there's the I want a part that got your butt here, and then there's the I don't want a part that would be perfectly happy if you left the workshop in your current state. Yeah. To wit. Good. And so they're having a little struggle in there, and we want to help them work it out. Because the different parts of our psyche don't necessarily play well with others. Have you ever noticed that you're meaner to yourself than you are to other people? Yeah. So the parts of ourselves don't necessarily get along all that well. It was an interesting revelation to me when I realized that when I do facilitation of executive team meetings, it's exactly the same work as when I facilitate somebody's internal parts in a voice dialogue session. And I realized that, oh, that's why I'm good at that, because I've been doing it over here all these years. So I actually do both, and it's the same thing. So what we're doing internally is contemplating a reorg. If you find your purpose, then that changes your internal parts' orientation to you and to one another, and it's in effect a reorg. And we have currently existing a perfectly stable system that is known to work. And when you go into a company and you say, great news, we're going to do a reorg. We're going to have a new vision. We're going to restructure all the divisions. Everybody's jobs will change. Aren't we all excited now? Resistance is what emerges, and I deal with this as an organizational consultant. And resistance is appropriate because the big question is,
what's going to happen to me?
What's going to happen to me when we do that? I want to know what's going to happen to me before I sign on. And so the parts of your psyche have been told when you came here this weekend that there's going to be a reorg. And they're going, whoop, what's going to happen to me? Which is the appropriate response. Right? Now, what never happens in corporate America, but we are going to do it here, is that we're going to give them veto power over you finding your purpose. They have it anyway. Yeah. We're not changing anything. Have you noticed you can't fire parts? Who here has tried? Be honest. Good luck. How's that working? Can't fire the parts. So they can resign. What's that?
They've got tenure.
They've got tenure, that's right. They can resign. It's very rare, but I've seen parts resign. But you cannot fire them, even if you don't like their performance. And they have veto power over you finding your purpose. So we have to deal with them. We must. And there are a number of different ways of doing that, and we'll talk about it in a minute. But what we want to do is have the parts have some idea of at least what won't happen after the reorg. So that they can green light it, give a thumbs up, and say, yes, go ahead and do that. If they have no sense of what's going to happen after the reorg, then the right move is to give it a thumbs down. Because if you say to yourself, I want to find my life's purpose, and whatever it is, no matter what, I'm going to go out and do it fully, regardless of the consequences. Okay, now tell me my life's purpose. That's in effect signing a contract before you read it. Binding for life, which is bad business. Right? So if you told me, Tim, this is going to be great, here's a contract, sign it, and I'll tell you later what all the stipulations are, and by the way, it's for life, my response would be, no way, forget it. And that's what we're asking of these parts of you. If your orientation is that you're going to find your purpose and go do it, whatever it is, and these parts are expected to sign off on that, that's what you're asking them to do. And it's an unreasonable expectation.